I got something wrong. I was wrong. Something that few people say often. I want to talk about voter ID laws. Back when I was in college, I took a stance that voter ID laws were racist and discriminatory and are unnecessary. And after the last two elections, as election integrity was at the forefront, I've really changed my mind. I think that um, while there is limited evidence of election fraud, the truth is it is a hard thing to quantify. It is hard to know exactly how much voter fraud there is. And because of that, we should do as much as possible that is reasonable for people to vote and take voting seriously. If you are required to have an ID to buy beer, you certainly should be able to have an ID to vote. And this is a small item that this is a small thing that people really should be able to do. To say that it's discriminatory and it's an excessive cost or it's one more thing preventing people from voting, voting should be serious. People should take voting seriously. If getting a driver's license or some sort of a photo ID is a barrier, then those people are not taking voting seriously. Critics contend that these laws disproportionately affect minority groups, the elderly, low-income people uh, who find it challenging to get an ID. Based on my experience, like most people have IDs, and it's not that much to ask for people to go get an ID. New York State has, while it does not require uh, IDs in order to vote, you do need an ID for many reasons. So New York State provides IDs for people who need them. It just feels like, um, given that election integrity is such a hot button issue today, uh, we should absolutely require this. The Democrats, and the reason why I had this position is that they think that low income voters and minority voters who might have more challenges getting IDs, and polling show that the people who don't have IDs tend to be low income and minority voters. That somehow there will be a negative consequence for Democrats just feels short-sighted. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 says that laws that violate protections against voting are not permissible. This feels like a good way to ensure public confidence that our elections are fair and free and accessible. You need an ID to buy beer. I think getting an ID to vote seems like not that big of a deal. Uh, right now in New York, you need an ID to register to vote, and then when you go to vote, you don't need to bring your ID. You just sign your name, and they match your signature to the ID. There's not widespread fraud in our elections. We know that, but it's also something that's difficult to quantify. And so, adding a layer of protection of uh, for an ID requirement feels like not too big of a burden to ask of people.